Okay, well, thank you very much for joining this session. Hello, everyone. My name is Irina Login, and today we'll discuss briefly about building an identity and access management system using Neo4j. So, before we start, I'll be curious how many of you have ever used Neo4j or heard um, about this graph database before. Let's see if we have any raise of hands. Okay, we have one like, that's good. And if you have heard about Neo4j as well, have you heard about identity and access management? I'm pretty sure you're using it every single day. Yeah, okay. We have a few likes. Amazing. Yes, but not both combined. Okay, that's interesting. So that's why what I thought as well, because in the past I worked in the identity and access management industry, and because I work now at Neo4j, I've seen that the power of the connections between data items helps quite a lot in the tracking down which permissions are in the system, which roles, which other dependencies can be used. So I will also um, show you an example in real practice that I have showcased last week as well. So I do hope you will find it as engaging as possible. And I'm here as well if you'd like to ask any questions. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, okay. So just a quick intro. My name is Irina, and I work as a technical curriculum developer at Neo4j. If you'd like to stay connected after this session, this is my QR code. You can connect on LinkedIn and ask further questions or throw even more ideas. I would be more than glad to be challenged with a further extension of this topic or another one. So every organization has these questions: who has access to what? Why do they have a certain access? Are we actually secure, and can we prove it? So, for example, when we talk about compliance and audit, can we prove that the security of our systems is enabled correctly? If you haven't heard of identity and access management, it means secure access. So it means authentication and verifying user identities, ensuring that only legitimate users can gain access. It means auditing, so tracking and reviewing access and monitoring as much as possible. It means authorization, so it determines user permissions, specifying what resources or actions authenticated users can access. And provisioning and governance. So that means managing users' rights, meaning onboarding, changing access on the go, and so on and so forth. So, for example, in a consultancy company, you might be onboarded in a project, and then your access would be changed as you go along. And then, obviously, when you offboard a project, you would be ideally revoked access as soon as possible, and be given access to other repositories or components of the system as you would onboard the new one. So in Neo4j, we are a graph-based database company, and also providing AI tools, and you will find out more on the website. So the data is stored as nodes or things. It is connected with relationships, so no foreign keys, no join tables, just relationships between data, and that's how we query the data as quickly as possible, regardless of the size of the data. It's queried with Cypher, which is a pattern-based query language. And if you haven't heard of it, I have some resources to share at the end of this. And if you'd like to get started after this session as well, we have the Python documentation to share. And also on our learning platform, you'll find plenty of courses for you to get your hands on. So I will talk to you about this at the end. Okay, let's see. Okay, good, good, good. I'm not able to see the chat, so apologies if that went into a loop window. I only use my laptop today. So if there are any sort of specific questions, I would appreciate it if we would listen them out, or I'll get back into the chat after I'm done with the demonstration. So first of all, this is the cloud version of Neo4j Aura. So this is the cloud version of Neo4j, where if you get started, you'd be able to use it on the go. You can also ask your AI assistant how you can get started, and you can even build an application. So building an application, and I will quickly go into the developer hub. You can choose Python from here, and this is the hands-on guide. So I would not have time, unfortunately, to go through all these steps together with you today. We have already recorded free access resources on YouTube, and even more webinars coming soon as well. So if you'd like to get started, all you need to do is just to do a pip install Neo4j with the latest version and connect to your existing Neo4j database. And here you have an example graph, but I will show you, if you don't have an example graph of identity and access management, how you can get started. So I think this is the most useful part in a demonstration, where someone is showing you how they would get started, so you have an understanding and a visual explanation of how to proceed. So when you sign up, it is completely free. I would go for the professional instance because it gives you more resources, more memory, and so on and so forth. And you'd be able to create an instance. So this is a graph database instance. I already have this created. But if you don't have any, I would go to import. So you can create first, as you would go in your SQL database, you would create a schema, right? You would need to create a graph model here, and this would decide how you actually want to structure all your data. And here, I would first need to, let's say, go to any data sources. I have already imported, so I wouldn't do it again. But here you would go through, add your CSV files, or connect to cloud, connect to your database, and just import the files here. And the AI would read automatically um, all your data and generate the graph model, or you can even generate from a schema if you have any tables created. So let me show you my graph model. This is my graph model. I have some CSV files, some demo files. For example, I have users.csv where I've used some demo users. And that means that here I have a user node that has read the users.csv file, and that's it. You don't need to do anything. So this the generate with AI model has read everything. So I have user belongs to a group, and the group, so the belongs to is a relationship between user and group, and this is how you'd be able to query using Cypher. Then the group has a role, and again we have the relationship has a role, and role is another node because it's another type of data that we want to save in our database. Then the role has some certain permissions, so you can do it by setting up a relationship between the role and the permission. So this is very straightforward. And a permission has some resources. So a permission applies to certain resources. This is the last relationship. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible so you would grasp the concept, but obviously this can be extended as well depending on your on your system. So for example, if you have any sort of LDAP configuration, you can easily add it here as well. And then you just run import. I've already done that. Let's see. Okay, I guess I haven't saved the password. But once you get your data loaded into the graph, this is how the graph would look like. Let's see if I can maximize. Okay, so I have a system admin here. I can see the role. I can see some certain relationships and dependencies as well. I don't think my browser is the latest version, so that's going to make it a bit tricky. Then I have a permission and so on and so forth. So let me try and zoom in into this area. There we go. So read code is a permission, and I can drag them around. It applies to a public code repository. It applies to main repository. And also it applies to internal repository. So you can have multiple connections between data. And also, let's see who has this permission. The system admin has the permission to read code. A developer has also the permission to read code. And that's it. So also we have a distinction between the developers group and the developer role, as well as the deploy application. This permission is given to the system admin, and also the system admin has the permission to delete the code. But the developer only has the role to write code and read code. That's how I try to make it as simple as possible. But you can obviously change it as you go along. Okay, so this is how my graph looks like. I can export it as well for other systems. You can export it as CSV or screenshot, or you can set up connectors. And the interesting part here is when I go into query, for example, I want to see all the roles that are in the system and all the relationships. So I have has a role, I have 12 users in my system. I have a certain role, so are in a has role relationship. Applies to resource, so this is with regards to permissions and roles as well. So I have 55 of this type, and has permission I have 62. So here I count how many role or how many users have a certain permission, and then later on I will try and identify who are these users and try to question why do they have that certain permission. And if I want to see an overview of the whole graph, let's say I want to express it as a tabular data, you can do it this way. So I have 22 roles in my demo company. I have 25 resources. So maybe I should start asking myself, why is this number happening in my company? So probably I would want to question why there are 26 users with 22 roles and 25 resources. I've made the numbers in such a way that it wouldn't make a good sense, so you would understand that it is quite obvious that you would start asking yourselves these questions as well. And there are 12 groups in general. And that means that sometimes these roles overlap. So I have 22 roles and 12 groups. So that wouldn't actually be efficient in my case. And I would like to maybe reduce the number of roles in this case, or try to identify resources that would potentially represent a duplicate. So this is how easy it is for you to get started to actually build your system, and you can even connect to other databases or data sources in general. So if I go to data source here, you can see all these types of data sources, and even build an LDAP connector as well, if that's what you're using, just to explore around. So another interesting part is, after you have created a professional instance, you can also get started with the graph analytics. So you would understand what happened with every single user session, which is very interesting from an IAM perspective. And in Neo4j, as I said, you can just use the Neo4j Python drivers. So that's the Neo4j Python driver here, and it is just to say a matter of seconds for you to get connected and start querying a graph. So even in the Python code, you can write Cypher. So this is the Cypher query language. You can embed Cypher into your Python code, and you can have everything in one place. I would recommend saving these Cypher queries and calling them separately, so you would manage them one by one. And yeah, this is the quick show round I wanted to share with you today, because I'm a huge fan of this topic, and I wanted to also share that it is quite a good place for you to get started in also learning more about Python and identity and access management. So if you have an API already running, you can now build your IAM already in the same Python API. So in Neo4j Aura, you can after that embed your Python data APIs as well and build agents. So building everything on top of your existing Python system is quite nice, I would say, from a developer perspective. And you can even query everything in one go. So one example I've demonstrated last week was in a satellites use case. So in a supply chain system for satellites, let's say user to supplier chain. Let's see if my connection is still on. Okay. Okay, so in this case, I have a couple of users that obviously less users than in the other instance that can access a certain amount of satellites and supply chain systems. So I can see very easily either in a graph or in a table who has access to what. So an admin has access to this satellite, and the satellite, let's say an engineer also can access a satellite, and a satellite can use a component. So you can expand your identity and access management system in a graph as well, based on your existing, let's say, capabilities. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. Let's check how we are with the time. We have 5 minutes left for questions. So I will stop sharing for a second. Actually, before I do, I wanted to share with you the Graph Academy website, where we have free learning courses, including how you can get started with Python in Neo4j, how to create a knowledge graph, which is exactly what I've built for this demo today, and many other topics that are as exciting as the one I've presented or even more. So I will stop sharing now, and I'm open to questions. Hopefully 5 minutes would be enough. Let's see if we have anything on the chat. Okay, we have a question from Carlos. Can we visualize the graph for one specific user and see how it related with the roles and resources? Yes, of course. This is exactly what the use case with the satellites was also about. So for a certain Alice user, I could see she has access to a certain component of a satellite that was compromised. Yeah, so if there's a certain relationship at one point, so assuming that information, that user that you're mentioning about, is not isolated. So if it's part of the graph, then yes, you can see anything about that user in the system in a matter of less than 1 millisecond. Oh, you missed satellite example. Okay, let me quickly go back to sharing my screen, and let's see if I can find that. Okay, so who can access which satellites? Probably this would be the answer to your question. So I would match all these users. So I'll try to find the users that have a certain role, and the relationship is can access a certain satellite. So I can see. So for example, Alice has the role of an operator, can access Sentinel-X, Dimitri can access Sentinel-X, Aurora 3, and Gaia Link. So if I go to explore, okay, so I have here, okay, so I have here, for example, Carla has a role of an analyst, and she can access Gaia Link satellite that's part of a navigation unit. It's supplied by Stellar Parts, and so on and so forth. So satellite has more suppliers and more users can get to that satellite. So for example, we have Dimitri, who is an admin, so he can have more rights as well. And he can access, for example, Sentinel X, and that uses a certain component, and that component has a certain vulnerability, for example, and so on and so forth. So you can go through the path itself. You can go through finding this whole information. So with Python, you can put it into code, and you can obviously add it to your existing system as well. So this was what you've missed, Carlos. Awesome. Okay. Well, this was the quick demo of today. It was only 30 minutes, and I do appreciate your time and joining this session. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. The Graph Academy learning website is where we have free resources and learning courses for you to get started with Python in any sort of use case that you'd like to apply. So be as creative as possible and let us know your feedback and what you'd like to learn next.
Thank you so much, Irina. We can continue this discussion in Discord or in the breakout small groups in the lounge. Thank you all attendees for joining. Have a great one.
Thank you as well. Have a nice day and
Bye.
stay curious. Bye bye.